until you make the unconscious conscious. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a time when society urges us to chase trends, mirror influences, and conform to standards that were never ours to begin with. But I invite you today to consider a different path, the journey inward. For within each of us lies an authentic self, shaped by personal experience, archetypal energy, and a unique set of passions that the world has never seen before and will never see again. As Carl Jung taught, the process of individuation, becoming who we truly are, is not only a spiritual necessity, but also a practical one. Because in this modern world, authenticity is not just rare, it's valuable. And so I offer you 5 ways to make money, not by being someone else, but by being yourself. In a world increasingly defined by algorithms, curated images, and standardized success stories, the idea of embracing one's unique identity can feel radical, even risky. Yet it is precisely this individuality, this unrepeatable combination of your life experiences, perspectives, talents, and even flaws, that contains your greatest economic and creative potential. Many people go through life chasing templates. They mimic influencers, follow career blueprints, and wear professional masks to blend in, not realizing that by doing so, they are burying the very qualities that could make them valuable in ways the world has never seen before. What sets you apart is not a barrier to success, it is the key to it. The challenge lies in recognizing that the parts of yourself you've been told to suppress, your accent, your odd hobbies, your unconventional thinking, your non-linear path, are often the most magnetic features of your being. These are not deficiencies to be corrected, but dimensions to be cultivated. From a psychological perspective, the process of individuation, a concept central to Carl Jung's work, involves the integration of all parts of the self, especially those that have been neglected, hidden, or rejected. It is a process of becoming whole, not perfect, and when you engage in this process consciously, you begin to align your internal reality with your external actions. You stop performing, and you start expressing. This shift creates authenticity, and authenticity creates trust, and trust, in any marketplace, is currency. Consider the people you admire online or in real life. The ones who attract opportunities and audiences are rarely the most polished or the most traditional. They are often the ones who appear to be most comfortable in their own skin. They speak from lived experience. They don't try to impress everyone. They focus on connecting with the right ones. Their value comes not from being generic, but from being genuine, and that genuineness cannot be manufactured. It must be owned. When you embrace your identity fully, you begin to see that you are not in competition with others, because no one else has your exact combination of personality, worldview, emotional depth, and life journey. This realization is freeing. It means that you don't have to hustle to be better than anyone. You just have to be more you. And in doing so, you'll naturally attract the kinds of people, clients, or collaborators who are aligned with what you uniquely bring to the table. For example, a woman who grew up bilingual in a working-class neighborhood might have a rich cultural insight that informs her storytelling. A man with neurodiverse traits might notice patterns others miss, making him a gifted problem solver. Someone who has struggled with mental health may be uniquely positioned to support others on that same journey. These are not anomalies to hide, they are angles of value. When embraced and expressed, they become compelling narratives, differentiated offerings, and authentic foundations for work that matters. The educational implication is simple but profound. To thrive economically and professionally in the modern world, you do not need to conform. You need to understand, articulate, and share who you are, consistently and unapologetically. The process begins with reflection and honesty, but it grows through expression and repetition. When you stop asking, "What should I be?" and start asking, "Who am I really?" you begin to access a kind of creative power that no business school can teach and no trend can replicate. Your individuality is not only a personal truth, it is a professional strategy. It is your brand, your voice, your product, and your path, all in one. The more you live from that place, the more income and impact you can generate, not despite being yourself, but precisely because you are. Many of us grow up believing that work is supposed to be something separate from enjoyment, something that requires effort, endurance, and at times, even self-abandonment. We are taught that passion is for hobbies, and work is for responsibility. But this division is not only outdated, it's deeply limiting. In today's interconnected world, the line between what you love and what you do can, and increasingly should, be blurred. At the heart of this shift lies a powerful idea that your natural skills and passions can be sources of income, not just sources of personal pleasure. Each of us carries within us a set of innate abilities, often overlooked because they come so naturally. Maybe you find it easy to explain complex ideas in simple terms. Maybe you're drawn to organizing things, fixing problems, designing visuals, telling stories, making others laugh, or listening without judgment. These aren't just traits, they're tools.
What feels effortless to you may feel confusing, difficult, or overwhelming to others. That's where value is born, where your ease meets someone else's need. Passion, when paired with usefulness, becomes a powerful economic engine. If you enjoy photography, for example, you might think of it as a creative outlet, but others might pay for family portraits, product shoots, or visual branding. If you love gaming, you might not realize that platforms like Twitch or YouTube allow gamers to build loyal audiences and monetize through sponsorships, donations, or content subscriptions. A passion for cooking can become a digital recipe channel, a catering business, or an online course. A love for history might translate into a paid newsletter, podcast, or tutoring service. The potential isn't just in the skill itself, it's in the way you bring it to others, using your voice, your experience, and your personal style. We live in a digital economy where people are increasingly willing to pay for content, convenience, and connection. This means that you don't need permission from a company, a gatekeeper, or an institution to begin. The tools are already in your hands: your phone, your voice, your social media accounts, your ability to record, design, or write. Monetizing your skills and passions doesn't always mean starting a full business right away. It can begin with small freelance gigs, offering services online, selling a digital product, or teaching what you know through a simple course or workshop. The key is not to wait until you feel ready or qualified in a traditional sense. Expertise, especially today, isn't defined by credentials alone. It's defined by experience, by execution, and by empathy. If you've done something successfully, even on a personal level, and you can explain how you did it, there's a high chance someone else will pay to learn from you or receive that value from you directly. It's also important to understand that monetizing your passion doesn't mean turning everything you love into a product. Some passions are best kept sacred, private, and personal, but others have a natural way of blending into service. When you share them, you're not just making money, you're making meaning. That's the sweet spot, when the thing that lights you up also lights up someone else's path. To make money from your skills and passions, you must first believe that they are enough. You don't need to be the best, you need to be real, reliable, and intentional. Identify what energizes you, look for where it intersects with people's needs or desires, and begin experimenting. Your value lies not in how much you force yourself to fit the mold, but in how boldly and intelligently you use what's already inside you. In the end, making a living by doing what you love is not a fantasy, it's a strategy, and it begins the moment you stop asking if you're allowed and start asking how you can serve. We live in an age where attention is currency, and trust is the foundation of any meaningful transaction, whether emotional, intellectual, or financial. In this landscape, facts are abundant, expertise is everywhere, and information is almost instant. So what makes someone stand out? What turns a listener into a client, a follower into a customer, or a viewer into a believer? The answer often isn't in how much you know, but in how much of yourself you are willing to share. This is the power of personal storytelling, using your own life, your journey, and your voice as a bridge to connect with others on a human level. Your story has value, even if you don't think it's dramatic, polished, or profound. In fact, the most impactful stories are rarely about perfection, they're about transformation. People don't need to hear that you've always been successful or certain. They need to know what you struggled with, how you got through it, what you learned, and who you became because of it. This is not about performing or fabricating, it's about being honest, being real, being seen. When you share your experiences, whether they're stories of overcoming hardship, finding your purpose, learning a skill, or dealing with failure, you invite others to reflect on their own paths. You become more than just a provider of a service or a seller of a product. You become someone who understands, someone who has been there. That kind of relatability is incredibly powerful in business, education, and any environment where influence matters. It builds emotional connection, and emotional connection creates loyalty. This doesn't mean you need to tell your entire life story or expose your deepest traumas. It means choosing moments that carry meaning, turning points, lessons learned, small victories, or big realizations, and telling them with sincerity and clarity. Think of how authors open their books with personal anecdotes, how speakers begin with a moment from their past, how creators frame their content with a glimpse into their own journey. These are not accidental choices, they are strategic. Storytelling is not just entertainment, it's education through empathy. In practical terms, personal storytelling can take many forms. You might share your journey on social media, through short videos or written posts. You might write articles or start a blog that reflects your insights. If you're a coach, creator, or entrepreneur, your story can shape your brand, helping people understand why you do what you do, not just what you offer. Even in interviews or networking situations, the ability to share a relevant piece of your story helps people remember you and trust you. And here's where the monetization comes in. When people connect with your story, they're more likely to invest in your work. They don't just see a product, they see you behind it. They understand your why, and that makes your offering feel more authentic and meaningful. Whether you're selling a course, a service, a book, or your own time, it becomes more valuable because it's anchored in something real, your lived experience. Your story also allows you to stand apart in a saturated market. Others may have similar skills or services, but no one has your exact path, your exact voice, or your way of expressing it. That's your differentiation. Your story is a signature that cannot be forged. Ultimately, storytelling is not just a method of communication, it's a method of connection. It reminds people that behind every idea, product, or business, there is a human being, and when you give people the gift of knowing who that person is, they often respond with the gift of loyalty, attention, and support. You don't have to pretend to be a guru or a finished product. You just have to be a person with a story worth sharing, and trust that someone out there is waiting to hear it. In today's world where people are constantly bombarded with choices, whether it's what to read, what to buy, or who to trust, having a clear and consistent identity isn't just helpful, it's necessary. This is what we call a personal brand. But a personal brand is not a logo, a slogan, or a curated highlight reel. It is the perception people form about you based on what you consistently communicate, how you show up, and what values you embody. It is the emotional fingerprint you leave behind in people's minds, and it can be one of the most powerful tools for making money, simply by being who you are. At its core, your personal brand is a reflection of your authenticity. It's how you present your true self in a way that is clear, relatable, and trustworthy. This doesn't mean being polished or perfect. It means being intentional. It means understanding what you stand for, what you're passionate about, and how you want to make people feel when they interact with you or your work. Whether you're a freelancer, an educator, a content creator, or an entrepreneur, your personal brand is what makes someone choose you over someone else with the same skill set. In building a personal brand, the first step is self-awareness. You need to understand your strengths, your story, your voice, and your values. What do people naturally come to you for? What topics light you up? What do you believe in so strongly that you would speak about it even if no one was listening? These are clues to the foundation of your brand. Because people are not just buying your service or your product. They are buying you. They are buying your energy, your taste, your way of seeing the world. A strong personal brand also gives you the ability to attract the right audience. Not everyone needs to resonate with you, and that's a good thing. The goal is not to appeal to everyone, but to speak so clearly and authentically that the right people can recognize you as their person. These are the people who will follow your work, share your ideas, support your offerings, and stick with you long term. When you are clear about who you are and what you offer, you save others the confusion of trying to figure it out for themselves. You become memorable, and in a world of short attention spans, being memorable is priceless. Building a personal brand doesn't require fame or a huge platform. It requires consistency. Every time you post online, share your ideas, interact with others, or put something into the world, you are building your brand whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you doing it intentionally? Are you shaping the narrative, or letting it shape itself? You don't have to be loud, flashy, or performative. You simply have to be consistent in how you express your values, your voice, and your mission. From a practical perspective, a personal brand opens doors. It can lead to speaking opportunities, collaborations, paid partnerships, job offers, consulting work, and product sales. And the best part is that these opportunities come not because you chased them, but because you attracted them by showing up as yourself in a way that was clear, confident, and valuable. The beauty of a personal brand is that it grows with you. As you evolve, your message can evolve. As your interests shift, your brand can shift too, as long as the evolution is genuine. That's the difference between a brand built on performance and one built on truth. One crumbles under pressure, the other expands with experience. In the end, your personal brand is not something you create from scratch. It's something you uncover, refine, and express. It already exists inside who you are, what you care about, and how you move through the world. When you start to shape it intentionally, you stop selling a product and start becoming the product. And in that shift, you begin to monetize not just what you do, but who you are. In an era where visibility often precedes opportunity, the act of creating and sharing consistently is no longer optional for those who want to build something meaningful from who they are. Whether you're an artist, educator, coach, freelancer, or entrepreneur, the ability to consistently produce and share your work is what transforms hidden potential into public value. Talent without visibility remains dormant. Ideas without expression are invisible. The bridge between your inner world and the external rewards you seek is built one piece of content, one message, one action at a time. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up even when you don't feel ready, even when the audience is small, and even when no one seems to notice at first. The truth is, most people don't start with a crowd. They start with a commitment. They start with a willingness to create before they are recognized, and to speak before they are heard. The world tends to reward those who keep showing up, not because they are the loudest, but because they are the most present. That presence builds familiarity, and familiarity builds trust. When you create consistently, whether that's writing, speaking, designing, filming, or teaching, you refine your voice. You learn what resonates, what doesn't, and how to express your message with more clarity. You also become better at your craft through repetition. Skill development and audience growth happen in parallel, not in isolation. One post, video, or article might feel small, but over time, those small pieces become a body of work. They become proof of your effort, your evolution, and your expertise. Sharing your work is equally important. Many people create, but they keep their work private out of fear of judgment, of imperfection, or of not being ready. But you must understand, the moment you share your work, you invite connection. You give others a chance to find you, to relate to you, and to support you. People cannot support what they cannot see, and often what you think is ordinary about yourself, your ideas, your process, your insights, is precisely what others find valuable, even inspiring. There's also a compound effect to consistent sharing. One post might reach a few people, 10 posts might reach dozens, 100 might touch thousands, and among those people are decision makers, collaborators, clients, and community members who are not just scrolling, they are searching, they are looking for someone like you, but they can only find you if you've made yourself findable. That's what consistent sharing does. It makes you visible and credible over time. Of course, there will be moments of doubt. You may wonder if anyone is listening, if your work matters, or if you're wasting your time. But the truth is, every creator or professional who has built a sustainable path has passed through those same doubts. What separates them is not luck or brilliance, it's that they kept going, they trusted the process, they believed in the long game. Consistency, after all, is not just a strategy, it's a form of self-respect. It says, I believe in this enough to keep showing up, even when the results aren't immediate. The beautiful part about consistent creation is that it gives you feedback. Your audience responds. You learn what connects. You evolve with purpose. And slowly the gap between who you are and how you're seen in the world begins to close. Opportunities come, not as accidents, but as the natural consequence of visibility, trust, and value. In the end, making money by being yourself requires more than just intention. It requires evidence. Your content, your output, your presence in the world is that evidence. And the only way to build it is one step at a time, consistently, courageously, and without waiting for permission. In a world that often glorifies numbers, followers, likes, sales, reach, it's easy to forget that at the heart of every meaningful success is relationship. Real, human, genuine connection is one of the most underestimated assets in building a life and career that is both profitable and personal. Whether your path involves freelancing, coaching, content creation, business, or art, your ability to form and nurture authentic relationships will often determine the depth and durability of your impact. People don't invest in talent alone, they invest in trust, and trust is built not through aggressive self-promotion or polished pitches, but through consistent, sincere engagement. It's built through showing up, not just to be seen but to see others, to listen, to respond, and to serve. When you approach connection with curiosity and generosity, you begin to attract relationships that are rooted in mutual respect rather than transaction. Real connection starts by being honest about who you are and what you value. It means expressing your ideas clearly, standing for something, and creating space for others to do the same. In professional terms, this could look like reaching out to someone you admire with a note of appreciation, without asking for anything in return. It could mean responding thoughtfully to comments or messages, joining relevant communities, or engaging with peers whose work inspires you. It could mean collaboration instead of competition, encouragement instead of comparison. One of the greatest shifts you can make is to see every interaction, not as a chance to get, but as a chance to give. Offer value without expectation. Share what you know. Support others' work. Make introductions when they're helpful. When you become known as someone who uplifts rather than extracts, your name carries weight, and that's a form of capital more powerful than any single transaction. Networking is often misunderstood as something formal or transactional, but the truth is, most opportunities arise from informal and ongoing relationships. A thoughtful comment can lead to a collaboration. A helpful answer in a forum can lead to a client. A connection you nurture quietly for months can one day open a door you never knew existed. But none of that happens if you're waiting behind the scenes, trying to perfect yourself in isolation. You must engage. You must participate. You must be part of the conversation. This is not about being extroverted or constantly social. It's about being intentional and available. Even small acts, replying to an email, showing up to an event, joining a live stream, sending a kind message, can build bridges. These small, authentic moments compound over time. They create a web of trust and support that makes your journey sustainable, not solitary. Importantly, building real connections also means keeping them. Follow up, check in, celebrate others' wins. People remember those who make them feel seen, heard, and valued. And when it comes time for referrals, opportunities, or collaborations, they don't always choose the most skilled, they choose the most trusted. That's why integrity matters. That's why consistency matters. Because your reputation isn't just what you say, it's how you show up over time. Ultimately, your ability to make money by being yourself will never depend solely on algorithms, content, or offers. It will depend on relationships, on who knows you, who trusts you, and who wants to walk alongside you. And those kinds of connections are not bought. They are built, one real conversation at a time. In a digital world, authenticity is rare, and that makes it valuable. The more human you are, the more magnetic you become, because behind every click, every share, and every payment is a person. And people still choose people, not just products. As we draw this journey to a close, let us return briefly to the idea Carl Jung often spoke of, that true fulfillment comes not from imitation, but from individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are.
In a world that constantly tempts us to conform, compete and compare, the most radical thing you can do is to build a life and a living rooted in authenticity, and not just as a private ideal, but as a practical strategy. You have learned that self-awareness is your foundation, that understanding your innate personality, gifts and values is not self-indulgent, it is strategic. You've seen how your unique experiences can be transformed into stories that teach, inspire and connect. You now understand that your personal brand isn't a mask to wear, it's a mirror of who you already are, and that the consistency of your creation and the sincerity of your connections are not side notes, they are the lifeblood of any meaningful venture. Each of these 5 principles, knowing yourself, sharing your story, building your brand, creating consistently, and forging real relationships, are not just business techniques, they are ways of living that align your identity with your income. They allow you to make money not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more fully yourself. Of course, this path takes courage. It asks you to trust your voice before the world validates it. It invites you to begin before you're ready, and to share even when you feel unseen. But remember this, the market doesn't just reward skills, it rewards resonance. People are not looking for perfection, they're looking for truth, and truth always shines through those who are aligned with their essence. You are not too much, you are not too late, and you don't need to wait until you're an expert to begin. Your story, your presence, your perspective, those are assets. If you build upon them with integrity and intention, you can create a life where your personality is not just present but profitable. A life where you no longer chase opportunity, but attract it. So the question is no longer how do I make money? The real question is how can I be more fully myself and allow that to become my greatest form of value in the world? The answer, as you've seen, is already within you. Let the world meet that person.